But now a year or two in, nobody wants to buy at full price, right?
Right.
Or even
We
close to it.
taught them not to.
Yes, you taught them not to.
I think that's probably like the thing, most people wonder is, well, what's the right percent? What's the right discount amount? All right, we're talking discount codes today, and I want to lead with a delightful piece of trivia I learned. Maybe you already suspected this. What's the right amount for a percentage off discount code? 15, 20, 25. Obviously, the higher, the better in the eyes of the customer. But like what's the level where it is no longer offensive, where they're going to take the effort to take that offer? And we're going to learn from our guest today that it turns out that is probably 20% is the right answer. Yeah, our guest today has studied after issuing 100 and something thousand discount codes across various stores. They're going to share with us what they learned. We're joined by Kara Marin from Seguno, bulk discount bot, and the bulk discount bot has issued a lot of discounts in bulk. Kara, what are we discussing today? Discount codes, but what did you do to have these learnings? What happened?
So, well, we had 162,000 discount code sets that have been created in our app, and we wanted to see what patterns were happening at that scale. And what we found was that there are some nice low-hanging fruit, both for bigger brands and for smaller brands, that at least I think more brands should be using to make more money. Yeah.
And this app, bulk discount code bot, I've used this for years at this point, and the use case for us was a client says, "Hey, we're running this big promo, and maybe it's like we've partnered with someone, and they, for whatever reason, they need 10,000 discount codes. Go, something like that, and then we need a way to do that." And this bulk discount bot, as the name would imply, does just that. You're like, "Hey, this is what I need," and it just generates the codes, and here's your spreadsheet. Go. Very useful for things like that. A handy utility. But now we're taking that and we're going through the learnings from it. And so, all right, I started with mentioning that 20% off as our magic number. I think that's probably like the thing, most people wonder is, well, what's the right percent? What's the right discount amount? Let's start with that as our quick takeaway for the folks who may not listen to anything else. Give me your thoughts there.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is we found that the most popular percentage off was 20%. But I would say what's even more interesting is the second most popular one. You want to take a stab at it, or I just go for it?
Well, I guess it's similar, so I'm either gonna go with 15 or 25.
So the most popular is 20, and the second most popular is actually 10%. And I don't have we could theorize as to why that is, right? But all I know is that's what we found in our 162,000 discount code sets. And so your starting question of what's that less offensive offer, it may actually be 10%. That's really popular.
All right, it's a lot of split testing
Yeah.
has to happen here, but gives you a good starting point,
Yeah.
right? So why bother to analyze 162,000 discount codes?
Just to look for patterns and what we could find. So, like you said, the app really to date has been more of a utility. And so people have a reason already. They're coming to the app and they want to generate unique discount codes. And because the app's been around a while and has some solid traction, we're like, okay, what can we find in this data about what the best practices are for discounting? And something to me that's really exciting about unique discount codes is usually when people think about them, they're thinking about sites like Honey, where you have the coupon leaks happening and then you're losing revenue because people are just letting that browser extension fill in a coupon code. And that's a serious issue. But why they're even cooler is because they let you experiment with targeted offers. So if you want to see for your customers if 20% or 10% has better efficiency and better margins and all that, you can use targeted discount codes to offer one segment something and another segment something else and really find what works best for your brand.
And that, in contrast to either an automatic discount or I just have one unlimited use code. Like
Yeah,
the bulk discount code situation, generally I'm doing one time, one use codes. Yeah, they're
exactly. So
unique.
they're all unique to the person. So versus welcome 10, it's like
Right.
welcome blah, 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 XYZ ABC, right? It's something that's unique just to you.
Okay. In this data, what's the thing that stood out? What surprised you most?
So I'd say one thing that did not surprise me, but may surprise other people, probably will not, but I think is somewhat interesting as a starting point is that larger brands offer discounts at least unique discounts more often than smaller brands. And to me, the reason for that is because they have resources dedicated to defining discounts, setting up marketing lifecycle discounts, affiliate discounts, experimenting with what discounts work best. And then these small brands kind of are like, oh, that sounds like so much. I'm just going to do welcome 10, welcome 20. And the truth is that there are especially popular ones within the larger brands that are so easy to set up that I think all smaller brands should set up too and use that just to drive more revenue. So one of the best starting ones is that welcome offer, where instead of doing a blanket welcome 10, welcome 20, you use a unique code in your welcome offer. And what that does is that really incentivizes your customers to actually sign up for email, sign up for SMS in order to get that discount. And then you can nurture them from there if they don't make the purchase immediately.
And it sounds to me like you're able to segment this by Shopify plan type. So plus versus non-plus.
Yeah, we did plus versus non-plus, which internally we use that terminology a lot. I feel like that could be a little confusing to other people. So just think like big brand or smaller brand. So the biggest thing is plus is discounting a lot more. So
Interesting.
looking at, we broke it down by GMV tier. So if you look at GMV of 20 million or more, they're discounting like at least twice as often as the second tier. And it just kind of goes down from there. So they're
Hmm.
discounting more, they're making more money, but they're using targeted unique discount codes so that it doesn't look like they're offering discounts all the time splashed on their website that could reduce like the value of their brand. So smaller brands should be doing it too. Yeah.
And then are there, beyond just like volume of discounting, are there particular campaigns that seem to separate, the small fish and the big fish?
Yeah. So one thing that really surprised me is gift with purchase or buy X get Y is used 6 times more often by larger brands than by smaller brands. And gift with purchase is basically over a certain cart size, you say you're going to get a free something. And in conversations with customers beyond the report, I've learned that that is such an effective way for many brands to boost average order value.
I am so thrilled you mentioned my favorite promo, free gift with purchase, because I li- uh, last week we put live for the first time our new apps listing on Shopify promo party. It only does one thing. It does free gift with purchase, and it's because this is my favorite promo. We talk about it so often. It comes up so often because you're right. It is so successful at driving average order value, at being like such a great offer that's not devaluing the brand. I'm just getting excited about FGWP. Okay, so all right, larger merchants are using it more. How much more?
So it depends on how you break it down, but yeah, depends on how you break it down. Significantly more for sure. I would say at least twice as much is mostly what you see along different lines.
All right, going back, like 20% tends to be our top performing percentage. 10% is our second. I noticed it didn't go higher. Is there a threshold where higher doesn't perform as well? Like if somebody comes at me, they're like, get 80% off. That is immediately suspicious.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a really good question. To the biggest thing I've heard, this isn't in the report, but just in talking to customers, is that there are some larger brands that in the past discounted really heavily. So like 40% discounts all the time on everything. And without unique discount codes, just like 40, 40, 40, 40. And what that does is, especially after like a year or two, you may see people are buying, and maybe that's okay for your margins. But now a year or two in, nobody wants to buy at full price, right?
Right.
Or even
We
close to it.
taught them not to.
Yes, you taught them not to. And so, what those brands tend to do is not stop discounting, but move to unique discount codes where instead of having those blanket discounts all the time on your app, on your website, you have unique discount codes that are tied to a behavior, like you just bought something or browse abandonment. We want to see even more of that. And what that does is it lets you still drive revenue from discounts, but instead of having those splashy discounts everywhere, they're much more, trying to think of what the right word is, discreet. And so it lets you preserve. I'm not discounting all the time. You're not gonna see these steep discounts all the time. That results in a better lifetime value of the customer.
So it sounds like we want more like event triggered personalized offers
Yeah.
versus, site wide sale twice a month. And browse abandonment came up. Okay, I want to make an important distinction here. Cart abandonment, I think people are familiar with and use. Like, hey, you left items in your cart
Yep.
as a reminder. Then the second one's like, hey, get free shipping, get 10% off, get whatever. And then hey, your discount's about to expire. That I think is our bare bones but trustworthy cart abandonment flow. What's a typical offer in that? Do you know? And then you mentioned browse abandonment. That I love, and I don't see it enough. Similar concept. They are on the site, they look at a product and leave. So we're like, hey, did you see something you like? And we show them their product again. Very rarely do I pair that with a discount. Tell me about browse and cart abandonment discounts.
So one thing we saw with those is looking at I would call that a marketing life cycle event, right? So it's a
Right.
behavior, and then you may want to do marketing based off of it. So other ones would be the welcome new subscriber offer, the post purchase offer, win back offers. Those are the three most popular marketing life cycle offers we see. And then with browse abandonment and cart abandonment, to me, just thinking about myself as a consumer, those are such good touch points to reach out at, right? Especially if you've added something to the cart, you really are expressing interest. And for some reason, we see even with our large merchants, that is way underused. So it's used significantly less than welcome, post purchase, or win back. I don't have a reason why. Your guess is as good as mine.
I think they're viewing it as it's more aggressive. Like I don't
Maybe.
want to be
Hmm.
spammy. I hear that one a lot.
Oh, interesting.
And some of those, it's like, okay, it's not spammy. It is just a normal, helpful notification. Plus, at this point, I think everybody's inbox is a free for all. I mean, like, who's really looking through their emails anymore? There's just
I
so much
try.
in there,
Well, yeah, there is a lot.
especially now. So then, all right, in your report, I see mention of a thing called prospecting codes, and I was kind of confused. Like prospecting code, I think that's a welcome offer.
So welcome offer is you sign up for email or SMS and you have actively said like, "Hello brand, engage with me," right?
I have raised
Prospecting.
my hand and asked to be engaged with. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, right. Prospecting is you may not have even heard of the brand, and now you're going to receive communication from them. So you might think of this as direct mail. It's a really common use case for direct mail, though direct mail is also for customer retention. I see a lot of the time.
Yeah, like win back.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a unique code to someone who has not given you their email, their SMS, any information. They haven't signed up for your brand, but you think could be a good fit for your brand. And so it's getting them over the threshold, hopefully getting them to your site because of the communication that they get from you. One of the biggest things I've heard as an issue that brands run into is they'll have a typical welcome offer of 20%, and then they'll put a 20% unique coupon code in their prospecting direct mail. And then people will not use the unique code even up to 80% of the time, and they track it in other ways, because the offer is the same. And so the best way around that is make sure that your unique discount code offered in direct mail is better than any welcome offer. So if welcome offer is 20, then your unique discount code for prospecting should be 25. Just because otherwise people get to the site and then they're like, oh, it's the same thing and it's already there. I don't need to remember the
Yep.
code. So that's a big thing to keep in mind.
I want you to spell out for me, that unique discount code problem again, versus like why I always want to go through the hassle, it's extra work of generating hundreds of one-time use codes versus I have a single code that's like 10 off, save 10, welcome 20.
The benefit that people talk about most often is leaking to coupon sharing sites, where if anyone doesn't have familiarity with sites like Honey, basically you'll have a customer who is checking out at full price with your brand, ready to pay full price, and then they have this browser
They're
extension
going to buy
installed.
anyway.
Yeah, they're buying. They are definitely making the purchase, and then they have this browser extension installed, and it just runs through all of the leaked coupon codes that it could find, and if it finds something that matches, then they apply that coupon code, and they get to make the purchase at a lower price than they were ready to. So, for
I do this.
brands. Yeah, yeah, so that's just like a straight loss of revenue, right? There's no denying that, and then on top of it, it does mess with your attribution because it seems like they came through because of a campaign with that discount code, but actually they were just buying. So that's the thing people talk about the most, this, like, just preventing that straight loss of revenue from leaked coupon codes. The reason why I love my job is not because of that, but because unique discount codes let you experiment with targeted offers. So if you're thinking about 15% off versus gift with purchase, you don't need to just make guesses. You can actually give different offers to different segments and then unlock something that for your brand does really well. And when you do that, you get to have better margins, make more money, which is great. And it's also just so much fun if you kind of find exactly what works for your brand. And we're talking about patterns from, right, 160, 2,000 discount code sets, but every brand is different. And when you run those experiments yourself based off of these ideas and whatever else, you could find what really works. And that's super cool.
The way we have talked about this, someone would have some level of experience with discounting to be able to apply this to their store. And so if, I've got my Shopify store, I'm in year 2, and I really have limited experience with discounting, promos, automation, but like now I'm ready, right? I've got year 2, I've got my audience, the engine's running, things are moving. Where do I start with discounting? What's like the offer I should be playing with?
So I would say the first thing is take your welcome offer, probably 20% off, and use unique discount codes for it. And what that lets you do is that make sure that your customers, prospective customers, are actually giving you their contact information in exchange for getting the discount, uh, so that you can nurture them if they don't purchase right away, and also nurture them when they do purchase, right? So that's a great one to start with. The second two most popular in the marketing life cycle that I think are really quick to set up would be post purchase and win back. So post purchase is you made a purchase X days ago. We think you're likely to purchase again. This could be 7 days later, 30 days later. I see commonly also having an automation set up for 1 year later, where you want to encourage purchasing again. And that's just based on how often do people buy what you're selling, right? Is it something that they need new every week or is it every year? And make sure you have the automation set up for that timeline. And then win back is customers who bought in the past, haven't bought in a long time, and you want to give them that special offer to come back. So I definitely start with those three. And I'd say if you're just getting started, you may not have the historical data, but that's probably where this report could be the most helpful because the big brands, they're just going off of their own historical data because they know what works for their brand. But as a smaller brand, you're not going to have 10 years of historical data. And so look at the trends in the industry and set up those marketing lifecycle codes.
It's good advice. And all right, same question, but the experienced brands. I'm like on Shopify Plus, you you get to demand one thing of them. What is it?
So I think the gift with purchase, you can do that ding again, is a good one, good one to look at, because yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for brands to use that even more. And then the cart abandonment and browse abandonment are used less often than you'd think. And then one more that we see pretty commonly with big brands, but not as common as you'd expect, is customer service codes. So if you imagine a customer has a poor experience with your brand, you now want to give them a personalized discount saying, I see you, I see we messed up. Let me make this right by offering you a discount. You usually will have different codes, like different amounts off based on how bad the experience was. And what you get to do is in that case where you have someone writing into support, really angry, a lot of passion, you turn that passion into something positive. So that's a great one for bigger brands.
Excellent. Good advice. And what's the biggest mistake you see people make?
The biggest mistake is you see the benefits of discounting and you start discounting with blanket discounts like there's no tomorrow. And then it is tomorrow. And now you can't sell things at the price you want to sell them. So I would say discounts are such a powerful tool. Don't be afraid to discount and discount all the time, but use unique discount codes so that you still have that premium brand perception. And that lets you get the revenue today, but also not mess with your future revenue tomorrow. So that's the biggest thing, and I see brands come back from it, but it takes some time. So that's a challenge.
You study these 160 some thousand discount codes. You've got this in a report. Tell me about it. Where do I get it?
So it's on our website. We can probably put the link at seguno.com/, I think, unique discount codes
I'll
benchmark
put it in the show
report, something
notes.
like that. Yeah. And yeah, from there you can just see the full breakdown by region, by industry, especially for smaller brands that want to see that industry breakdown for your specific industry. I'd recommend checking it out.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, I just grabbed it. I will put that link in the show notes, as well as a link to Seguno bulk discount code bot. a tool I've used, for many years. And our newly released and made public Promo Party Pro
I'm excited
free
to check
gift
it out.
purchase app.
Yeah.
So, and well, you know what? As long we mentioned PostPilot, we should include that team as well. This was great. I was like, all right, an episode about discount codes. How exciting could that be? I had a ton of fun. I enjoyed. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kurt.